Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the Cfmoto 650 NK, doing a test ride, getting our genuine first impressions and review of this motorcycle. Before we start, I want to say if you're new to the channel, welcome. I do many motorcycle reviews from various makes, models, both new and used, and I work here at Hood Motor Company. If you like the content I put out, consider leaving a like, subscribing, and dropping a comment down below. That's enough of that though, let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about the Cfmoto 650 NK, and I'm going to be forming my own first impressions, opinions, and thoughts on this motorcycle to tell you whether or not this is a good buy or a good buy. I'm not going to talk any specs walking around the bike like I usually do. I'm just going to ride it and talk to you there. So let's get into it. Alright guys, we are out on this bike for the first time on the streets. It's got a whopping 9 miles on it. So the bike to compare this to, if you're looking at comparative models, is definitely going to be anything in the 650 class from Japan, but the most closely related two bikes are going to be the Ninja, or not the Ninja. The two most closely related bikes are going to be the Kawasaki Z650 and the Yamaha MT07. And the reason those two bikes are going to compare the best is because they are parallel twin motors, the Yamaha running a cross-plane crankshaft and the Kawasaki Z650 running a flat-plane crank, much like the design of this motor. This bike is a 649cc parallel twin, cranking out a wonderful 60 horsepower with a red line of about 9,500 RPM. Now if Cfmoto raised that red line, they could probably match the horsepower numbers of the Z650, which come in right at 67, and last I checked, the Yamaha MT07 was producing somewhere north of 70 horsepower. Now, even though it's a little bit down on horsepower, that can be expected. Cfmoto is still kind of getting their feet wet here in the US market and figuring out where their bikes fit in for consumers, but the biggest advantage seems to be the price point, where the Z650 starts somewhere around 7,500 MSRP, goes out the door for closer to 9,000, plus a little bit extra if you get ABS. The MSRP of the 650 NK starts closer to 6,499. So by the time you get it out the door, it ends up being around, I want to say 7,700 to get it over the curb or out the door. So that's going to be a big selling point for Cfmoto, is price. And no compromise on features, right? We got a TFT display, we've got ABS as standard, we've got a 6-speed transmission, and we've got a 650 engine, just like the other guys. Now, the shortcomings of the Cfmoto, I noticed them because I've owned an MT07 and I sell the Kawasaki Z650. So I think I'm in a pretty good place to talk about this bike in comparison to those two models. The first thing right off the bat that I notice about this bike, especially on the spec sheet, is the wet weight. The wet weight of this bike is like 454 pounds. The MT07 and the Z650 are both sub 415, so this bike is nearly 50 pounds heavier than its competition, and it has nearly 10 less horsepower. So in terms of top speed and getting up to speed, you know, 0 to 60, it's not going to be the fastest out of the bunch. That's definitely for certain. However, I think taking 1,000 off of the MSRP, that's going to be the sacrifice that you make for the power. But on top of that, you get this wonderful TFT display, you get ABS as standard equipment, and you get a functioning motorcycle that gets around 50 miles to the gallon, which is pretty damn good. And these come with a slipper clutch, just like every other Cfmoto, except for the Papio 125. There's a few things I'm going to gripe about with the bike, weight being the biggest point. For an intermediate level bike, 450 pounds is pretty heavy. My MT10 has 160 horse, and it weighs 463 pounds. This bike only weighs about 13 pounds less than that and doesn't even produce half of that horsepower. So I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence on this bike so far. And getting it out and riding it, I think that what you see on paper translates very well to what you're riding. But if you're willing to sacrifice those couple of specs to get a more affordable product by about $1,000, then those are some great selling points to consider whenever looking at this bike over other models. All right, let's do a 0 to 60 test. 3, 2, 1. 60. And we've reached cruising altitude here at 73 miles per hour on Interstate 70. Not really getting a whole lot of wind, it feels like. Not a whole lot's hitting my chest right here, not getting a whole lot there. A little bit, but not a ton. Another thing I'm going to gripe about is how this seat pitches you like into the tank. It's not super comfortable, and it feels like I'm just sliding down constantly, which isn't a great feeling. And if I try to push myself back, the passenger seat is in my way of moving back any further. So not super comfortable on this bike. In general, the seating position is ergonomically correct, upright and comfortable, but this whole sliding forward thing, I could not live with this. Quick rundown, can it do highway? Yes. Is it comfortable? Somewhat. Does it get great fuel economy? Yes. Is it affordable? Definitely. Another thing I'm finding kind of irritating, the shift lever, is whenever I have my foot down and ready to shift, I'm having to really pull my foot so far up to get it to hit that next gear. So not a huge fan of that. I think that could use some attention and a little bit of work. Slipper clutch worked great. The acceleration is really what you'd expect for an overweight and, in my opinion, underpowered motorcycle. I feel like this whole video, from when I got on until now, I've really kind of been dogging on this thing, and so far I wouldn't have a super strong value statement other than its affordability and being $1,000 less than the competition, but you're sacrificing so much in terms of performance and weight that it's almost worth that extra $1,000 to move up to the Japanese OEMs and get something from Kawasaki or Yamaha. Hey, quick cutaway on the ground here, and I want to be as transparent with you guys as possible. Just so you know, I do sell these, so I'm being as honest as I can be. And so far, I've really liked the Cfmoto motorcycles, but this one kind of just missed the mark. I don't think Cfmoto had I think they have a good idea for what a 650 motorcycle needs to be, but I think their R&D department kind of let them down in terms of design, performance, and weight savings. So that concludes my test ride of the Cfmoto 650 NK, and now I get to tell you whether or not I think this motorcycle is a good buy or a good buy. And my verdict is... I can't believe I'm saying this because I sell these, but I think this is a good buy. I think the Japanese OEMs have the 650 class nailed down to a T. I don't think your motorcycle should weigh more than 420 pounds in this class, and I think it should be making over 65 horsepower. I think the seating position is, for lack of a better term, bad. The bike didn't handle quite as well as I wanted it to either. The more I rode it, the more I kind of noticed that, and getting off of it and looking back and reflecting on it now, I just wasn't a fan of how this bike rode. Are the features there? Absolutely. Is the value there? Definitely. But personally, I would not purchase this motorcycle if I was looking at the 650 class. I think there are better options out there. If you don't want to spend that extra $1,000 to move up to the Japanese brands, you could get by with one of these, no problem. That's going to go ahead and wrap up today's video. I want to say thank you for watching. We've actually hit 500 subscribers. That's insane. Let's party. Thank you guys so much. I can't wait to get up to 1,000. That's going to be my next goal. Remember, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button first of all. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, and any questions you might have regarding that motorcycle over there. And please don't forget to subscribe. All that being said, I want to say thank you for watching. Have a great day and ride safe.